what's good? We're about to tap into another Larry Bird video. 15 NBA legends who are terrified of Larry Bird. Let's tap in.
I don't think nobody ever could get out with him.
He talked trash against us, talked trash with against everyone else.
And I'm looking at this guy like, he's nuts, you know? When you talk about NBA players that will put fear in other players, the first people that will come to your mind will be somebody like Jordan, Shaq, Kobe, or maybe Kevin Garnett. But I feel like there's one, and that is Larry Bird. Like the trash talk.
That's a fact. You know what I mean? They don't even give credit when it's due. Like, that man was terrifying. You know what I mean? Like, that man was really him for real. You know what I mean? Like, nobody could guard him. That man was a winner. You know what I mean? Like, he was the real deal. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure it was a lot of NBA players that was terrified of Larry Bird. You know what I mean? Like, they couldn't even guard that man. They was even cheering. The other team was cheering for Bird when he was scoring. Like, that's how you know, like, he was really that cold.
He was having with other players was just disrespectful at an all-time high, but at the same time hilarious and creative. Seriously, I will crack up laughing at the way Bird will make players and even legends look like fools. The fear Bird instilled in players' hearts night after night made him a formidable opponent for defenders and even coaches. Larry would literally tell defenders what he would do on the court and proceed to do it. It was exhausting playing Bird every night because they will be in a physical and mental battle they had never seen before. So I found 15 NBA legends sharing stories about what made Larry Bird so feared by many players. And when these legends are talking, you get to see the amount of respect they have for him. So we will start with number 15, David Robinson, aka the Admiral, who left an indelible mark on the NBA with his extraordinary skills and contributions to the game. There is rarely any footage of David Robinson talking about Larry Bird, but there is an interview a year ago when someone asked him who was his favorite player to play against, and this is what he said.
And I know a lot of you young folks may not really remember Larry Bird that well, but that man was a magician. And he was amazing. And he was 6'9", and he had the skill set of a guard. He wasn't that fast. He wasn't that great of an athlete, but he had the heart of a lion.
See, it kind of reminds you similar to like a Luka, but it was effective on that court though. Like he got busy on that court. He was you know what I mean? Ain't nobody could guard him. I mean, that's all you need to do, like, you know what I mean? Because he already 6'9", and then he was an all around, like, really that first stretch big for real, if you really want to call it that. You know what I mean? Like, he was really like one of the first dudes that was like that tall and that good. And he had like a guard type of skill set, and he could do everything on the court. That's what people don't talk about. But yeah, like even David Robinson acknowledging it, like that's real though.
And so playing against him was kind of my real first taste of, man, I want to do that, right? I want to compete against that every day. That's the kind of thing that's going to make you a monster. And there were a lot of great players. I mean, make no mistake, I faced a lot of great players every day. But I think when I came into the league, Larry Bird was at his peak. And he was incredible at what he did, and he was humble, and he came to work every single day, and I admired that. And so I think he was my favorite to play against, particularly early in my career.
Number 14, we got Gary Payton, one of the most well-known trash talkers in NBA history, who had intimidated many players in his career. But it is shocking how highly he speaks of Bird after all the battles that he went through against Jordan. He will still pick Larry Bird when it comes to getting into your head. This man was a trash-talking connoisseur, but the way Larry Bird was talking trash was something he never experienced.
And Larry Bird would shoot it anywhere. If you think about how many times he won a championship, and what he was doing and what he was averaging, people don't understand that he was like, oh, he was slow. He wasn't, he was just smart. You know what I'm saying? He was smart and he can get it.
See, he had that IQ, you know what I mean? A lot of people be like, oh, he was slow and this and that, and like, you don't even know what they saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it don't matter. Like, it was, you know what I mean? He could get to his spot. Like, nobody could guard him. He was 6'9". You couldn't guard that. You know what I mean? And he had a jump shot. You couldn't block that. It was hard to block that. You know what I mean? And then like Bird, like he would trash talk, but he backed it up though. Like, you know what I mean? He backed it up. He had the game behind him. You know what I mean? Like he was a really like he was an assassin. He was a killer on the court for real.
He can get it done. He wasn't MVP all them times and all the All-Stars all them times for nothing. I'm going to take you over to this corner. I'm going to dribble 2 times. I'm going to hit your ass in the face. And it bet not touch the rim. Wow. And then he said, if it do, I'm going to come right back and do it again until it touch it. That's how Larry Bird used to get at. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, Larry Bird was the coldest talker ever, man. And he bagged it up because he was so cold. That's you know crazy. What I'm saying? So people ask people about him. Motherfucker used to tell you, boy, you can't do shit.
When the sawdust settles and the engine roars, the thing you care about is a job well done.
So people ask people about him. Motherfucker used to tell you, boy, you can't do shit with me. I'm too motherfucking good for this. Wow. I'm going to give you a Christmas present. This jumper in your face. He used to always say this, man. Next, we got Dominique Wilkins, the human highlight film. He was a dominant force on the court, captivating audiences with his electrifying dunks and scoring prowess. He had a versatile offensive game, capable of scoring from various positions on the floor. In the 1980s, Wilkins and Larry Bird had a fierce rivalry. They had one of the most memorable playoff battles in NBA history. Dominique Wilkins shared his experience of what it was like going against Larry Bird as a rookie, and this was hilarious.
First time Bird ever talked trash to me. It was my rookie season, my first game I ever played against him. And so I go shake his hand, and he put both hands behind his back. And I'm saying, okay, he getting his head ready to play. And first play of the game, he says, I don't know where they got you guarding me, Holmes. And he shoots a 3. Now, I wasn't upset he made the 3. I said, but this son of a gun just called me Holmes. I was pissed. I said, I wasn't mad he hit the 3, but this bitch just called me Holmes, And so it set up for a really interesting game. Because I remember one time I came down and I dunked it on him. He laying on the ground. He fouled me, and I'm pointing. And he said, hey, Rook. I said, what? He said, what? He said, I like you. You got, he said, you got balls, but I'm still going to get 30 on your ass.
I mean, but that was real though. Like, he was a competitor, and he respected when you went back at him. You was a soft tissue on the court. I'm pretty sure he didn't respect that. You know what I mean? You had to battle with him on the court. You had to earn his respect. You know what I mean? That's all sports is about. You know what I mean? Competing. You know what I mean? If you compete, you got that person respect. If you're not competing, it's like, you know what I mean? You don't really got that person respect because they're going to look at you as weak as hell. Like, you know what I mean? You got to compete on the court. It's like with anything you do in life. You got to compete and you got to back it up. If not, you kind of like, people they're going to overlook you in a sense. You know what I mean?
He got about 38, but I had to pay my dues. I wasn't upset about that because, back then, as a rookie, you got to pay your dues. Simple as that. He backed up whatever he said. If he tell you you're going to hit a shot to a certain place, or if he going to take you down to the post, turn around, hit a fadeaway J, he going to do just that, and ain't nothing you can do about it.
Joe Dumars, a Pistons legend who many called a Jordan stopper and a key member of the Detroit Pistons bad boys era. He holds deep respect for Larry Bird. The intense rivalry between the Pistons and the Boston Celtics during the late 1980s was marked by fierce competition and mutual admiration. You will see Joe Dumars explain how smart and tough Larry Bird was playing against like it was a chess match.
I said, but please, let's not forget how incredible Bird and the Celtics were in their prime. I said, they were almost impossible to go in there and beat. And they said, why? I said, because you could not make a mistake with them. If you turn your head or you don't rotate right on time or whatever it was, those guys made you play. And it was him. Like, he was a savant on the court. Like, just a savant, like 2 plays ahead on everything. And so I was just talking about this maybe 3 or 4 days ago, how hard it was to go into Boston and beat a team when Bird is in his prime.
Dennis Rodman, a Hall of Fame NBA player.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? When that man was in his prime, you know what I mean? It was hard to beat that man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, man, like, if he didn't get hurt and the limb bias and all that, come on, man. Like, they would have competed with Jordan in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe Jordan would have had that easy of a cakewalk, you know what I mean, like, in the 90s like that. You know what I mean? I think Bird would have most definitely get that man, because Bird swept him, Jordan, early on in his career. You know what I mean? People act like they forget about that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, you know what I mean? Bird was him for real. You know what I mean? Like it be clown type of stuff that people don't want to acknowledge when it comes to Bird. Like, I'm like, that's kind of like lame a little bit.
Renowned for his rebounding and defensive prowess, had so many battles against Bird when he was on the Bad Boy Pistons. And even though he said some crazy statements about Bird, like saying he wouldn't be able to play in today's NBA, he still had respect for Bird's game when going against him. He actually had a funny welcome to the league moment with Larry Bird in the playoffs. Check it out.
So, I think it was 86, 87. So we were playing Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. So they gave me the task of guarding Larry Bird. Guarding Larry Bird. I'm like this 25-year-old rookie in the league. They said, Dennis, you have to guard him. And I'm like, and you know what I'm saying? Guard him. So that was my whole job, to guard the toughest guy on the team, on the other teams. So, you know, so I'm guarding him. And every time I turn my head, he's over there at the 3-point line. He said, I'm over here, Rook. I'm like, you know, I got to go out there and run out there like a dumbass. Let's go out there, try to contest him. He'll hit the three. I'm like, okay, da-da-da-da.
Next, we got two legends, Karl Malone and Isaiah Thomas, who played against Larry Bird for almost all of their career and had intense playoff matchups. They shared their stories of how Bird used to talk trash during clutch moments.
I remember sitting on the bench watching Kevin McHale and Larry Bird, and Larry Bird did something. To me, I'm still marveled at this. And he got so many people. It was a timeout. And one of our teammates, Bart Kofold, had a camera. Right. He's taking pictures. So Larry Bird came over there and looked at our bench. And he said, 3-pointer. From right over here. So I'm sitting over there looking like that Babe Ruth. Calling your shot already. Right? Yeah. So Isaiah, I'm sitting there looking. He looked down at the floor. Hell, everybody looked down at the floor. He like he threw something. And he hit a 3. Oh! Can you believe that? And I remember Kevin kind of looking over at the bench like this is going to be a long night.
We walk out on the court, and he said, who guarded me? Larry used to always call me Cheesy, right? He's like, Cheesy, who guarded me? And I was like, you know, I got Kelly, I got Lamb, I got Benson. He's like, you ain't got no brothers?
Hell, I mean, but he felt insulted if a brother didn't guard him. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you know what I mean? He felt insulted. I mean, but Bird felt like nobody could guard him on the court. I mean, that's how you're supposed to feel when you are all-time great and when you work on your game and you're confident in yourself. You're supposed to feel like that. You know what I mean? That's just the ultimate, like, competitor you is, for real.
like you. He's like you.
Disrespecting me.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said. He said, hey, man, you keep putting no white dude on me. Hey, that is straight disrespect. Right? He said, don't put no white dude on me. So check this out.
It's crazy how so many guys struggle with losing weight when the Special Forces loophole helped me drop from 295.
He said, don't put no white dude on me. So check this out. So the next year we come back, I said, I got somebody for your ass, right?
Yeah.
He said, who you got? I said, Rodman. He said, okay, he's a little better. He said, but don't ever put no white dude on me because that is disrespectful. I was like, okay.
Patrick Ewing, a New York Knicks legend and one of the best centers of all time, is close friends with Larry Bird and has voiced admiration for Bird's skills, basketball knowledge, and leadership on multiple occasions. And he told people that Larry Bird's trash talking was the real deal.
He talked trash against us, talked trash with against everyone else. But you know, the difference is he could back it up. He could back it up. You know, I remember, you know, like I was saying, growing up in Boston, people all used to always talking about that he can't jump, he can't do this, he can't do that. And, you know, a lot of my friends was like that. You know, So I got to the league.
Yeah, it don't matter. You know what I mean? It didn't even matter. He didn't even have to do that, and he still was dominating his era. You know what I mean? Like he still won championships. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't. You don't have to be most athletic and all that. You know what I mean? Because that man was a bucket for real. He could do everything on the court. You know what I mean? And see, I didn't even early on when I was doing these bird videos, I didn't even know that man had an all around game like that. That's how cold he was. He wasn't like he was a versatile player, really for real. You know what I mean? Like I'm like he was that good. You know what I mean? Like he could have easily dominated today's era. You know what I mean? Like just imagine what he could do. That man probably would be averaging 40, 50 in today's era. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Let's be real about this. You know what I mean? And then nowadays, how they sitting out games and all that. Back then, they didn't set out games. They actually played. Like, see, they do all this cupcake ass stuff. Oh, I'm just gonna sit out. Like, you know what I mean? People pay their tickets really for nothing if they send out games like that. You know what I mean? Like, just imagine what that man would have did in today's era. You know what I mean? He would have easily dominated.
I called all my friends back up. I said, all that trash that you were talking, you need to squash all that. This man is great. He can whatever you were saying for a man who can't jump. He's demolishing everybody.
Here are three legends, Dr. J, Kevin McHale, and Bill Walton, explaining Bird's impact on the game and his mindset when playing. Pay attention to McHale's story especially because it shows what Bird will do when the game is on the line and he's not having the best night.
This guy, I think he was born to play basketball. Seeing him come in and making the adjustment early, taking a team that had won 20 games the year before. And, the next year, they're 40 plus, and the next year is 60 plus.
Nothing bothered him. Unbelievable competitor. Great hands, great vision, great feel for the game. And just, could go out every single night and just play at an unbelievably high level. Didn't have to shoot the ball really well to have a good game because he did so many different things.
I'm out, I'm inbounding the ball. Larry, we're walking. We drop a play. We're walking out there. Larry says, "I'm gonna shoot a three. I'm gonna win it right here." I'm like, "Larry, no. I just shoot. Just make it two. We're just going to overtime." I'm thinking, "My God, you haven't made a shot all game long. Don't do that now." So we walk over there, and Larry walks by the bench, and he tells the Phoenix bench, he said, "Nah, I'm fixing to jump out here, bust this play, and knock a three down on you and go home." And the bench looks at him and stuff. So Larry busts the play, jumps out, gets the ball on kind of in front of their bench at 3-point line, shoots it. As he lets it go, he looks at the bench and said, "Told you so," and starts running to the locker room. Ball rips through. We win by one, and the bench coaches have this. El Bianchi's got this look on his face like honestly, like he's seen a ghost. He's just sitting there. And I walk by and I go, "Does it all the time." And El Bianchi just shakes his head. But that was classic Larry. A will to win, unbelievable amount of confidence. But the best thing was he had no idea what I was thinking in my mind. Like, am I really going to throw it to him? He hasn't made a shot all the fourth quarter. But he ran in, and by the time I got in there, he'd already popped a beer. He had a beer in his hand. He was laughing. And I just walked up to him and gave him a hug and said, "Man, you are something."
Nobody worked as hard as Larry. He was the first guy there. He was the last guy to leave. He wore that body out.
You feel me? Like you gotta put in your time in. Like he was the first person, he was the last person to leave the gym. I mean, he worked on his game. You know what I mean? He was an all-time great for a reason. You know what I mean? See, like they don't want to give credit when it's due. You know what I mean? They overlook generations to generation. If it wasn't for them, the NBA wouldn't be even what it is today. You know what I mean? Like that's why these kids nowadays don't got no respect. You know what I mean? For what they paved back then. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's crazy. But yeah, Bird was that guy. You know what I mean? Just hearing all this so far, like, come on, man. Like, your peers respecting you like this, like, that's how you know you was an all-time great. Nobody else that, you know what I mean, that had something to say at that time. I mean, like, like the ESPN and all those people, like, man, they don't even know what the hell they be talking about. Like, you know what I mean? They don't even put that man as a as a top 5, top 10 player for real. Like that's like discrediting him in a sense. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's crazy.
Dumpers and the run and the movement and the concentration and the focus and the discipline and the sacrifice. He had it all. He wanted the light on him. He wanted the focus and he wanted that ball. And if it ever got to the point where Casey Jones, a coach who we just loved and would do anything for, if Casey would ever call somebody else's play, Larry would just say, no. I'm shooting this ball, and he would.
2 seconds on the shot clock. Bird wants a 3 out of it. He gets it. Next, we have 2 NBA legends who are in my top 5 of all time, Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They both said Larry Bird was the best guy they played against. And listen to how they describe Bird's game. You can tell that it was war when getting ready to play against that man. And you had to be on your A game at all times.
The best guy I played against might have been, Larry Bird. Someone like that.
How good was
Michael
Bird?
Jordan.
I don't think people look at him and think, he's a white guy, slow guy.
He's a chubby white guy. He wore us out, man. Because this muscle here, the one between his ears, that was his best, because he made the 3-pointers and he had assists.
This is the world's first reusable cotton swab. It can remove up to 10 times more eel.
He made the 3-pointers and he had assists and rebounded, steals. He was always at the right place at the right time on the court. One of the great players I had the opportunity to play against.
There's nobody that I ever played against that I love and respected more than Larry Bird. The man, listen, you couldn't give him an inch or he would just shoot it right in your face. He was dominant at both ends of the court. And so Larry Bird made me a better player, and I think I made him a better player. And together,
That's a fact. You know what I mean? Because they competed against each other in that era. They both made each other better. You know what I mean? They both worked on their game. They both was winners in their era. You know what I mean? They both, competed, and at that time, like raised the NBA. You know what I mean? And if you really think about it, it really made the NBA what it is today because, like Hollywood, and then you had Boston, a white guy in Boston, and then a black dude in Los Angeles. Like, it was perfect. It was a perfect story for both of them. And then, they competed, and then later on down the line, they became friends. But on the court, it was no friends. It was competing. It was all about winning. You know what I mean? See, that's what you need to bring the NBA back to. You know what I mean? Now all this cupcake buddy, and let me work out with you. They wasn't working out with each other. You know what I mean? That's like giving away your secret weapon when y'all do all that. You know what I mean? Back then, they was competitive. They wanted to win. You know what I mean? Like, basketball was better back then. You know what I mean? Now it's kind of like watered down. It's kind of like whack. Like watching today's NBA. Like, you know what I mean? Come on, man.
We made the NBA better. And now we have the last 2 legends on this list, John Stockton and Charles Barkley. They both shared hilarious trash-talking stories when they went against Bird. And you get to see Charles explain what exactly made NBA players fear him in the game.
He's the only guy that came into Utah when I was a young player and says, I think I'm going to have 43 tonight. Told our whole team that on the bench, and he came in and had 43 tonight. So, I don't know. I have to give the nod to Larry at this one.
Don't feel bad because I was the tiebreaker on the poll question, and I picked Larry Legend as well. So I'm with the same company. So,
God, Bird talk trash to everybody.
But did he get to a point where he had respect for you?
I always tell this story about Larry Bird. I remember him, he was cursing under his breath. And I asked him, I said, Larry, what's going on with you? He says, you guys are being disrespectful to me. And I says, what are you talking about? He says, you guys are putting a white guy on me. That's disrespect.
I mean, but that's for real though. Like, he felt disrespected. Like, you know what I mean? Don't put no white guy on me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he felt like a brother could guard. Well, he felt like nobody could guard him. You know what I mean? But he felt like a brother would give him more of a challenge on the court. You know what I mean? But I mean, that's respectable. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. I mean, but Bird was cold, man. Like, he talked trash, but he backed it up. Like everybody's saying the same stories. Like he backed it up. He lived up to it. You know what I mean? Like how everybody look at Luka, he's not the most athletic. He's not the most fastest on the court, but it get the job done. He's an all-time great in his era. It's the same thing with Bird, you know what I mean? But Bird was really the pioneer for real. You know what I mean? If you really think about it, and he's American. You know what I mean? So that's even more impressive. You know what I mean? Like if you really think about it, there's no one even close to even what Bird did for real. If you really think about it. Because Luka still haven't won, you know what I mean? You got to win, you know what I mean? You haven't won anything, you know what I mean? Bird already won early on in his career. They already submit the comparison right there, you know what I mean? There's no comparison at all.
Wait, who's the white guy you put on it?
I can't remember who it was. I just started laughing. I had no comeback when he says, it's disrespectful when y'all put a white guy on me. And I'm sitting there like, I'm laughing in the middle of a game.
Like, Larry beat you with his will and his mind. But he didn't have the athletic ability that Kobe and Michael and LeBron and those guys had.
Yeah.
Larry willed himself and his team to win.
So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and show everyone this if they're sleeping on how good Larry.
Yeah, man, you gotta pay respect when this dude Bird was really him. He was an all-time great for a reason. You know what I mean? But like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Let me know in the comments what y'all think, and I'm out.